Hi everyone, I hope all of you are having a wonderful day. Today I'm going to be creating my card for my design team project for Maymay Made It. And I did want to go ahead and apologize for this video just because it is going to be rather long. I know sometimes you guys like watching shorter videos, but this video I had to make long because I wanted to go and let you know step by step on how I created this card so you can recreate it at home as well. I will also be listing all the supplies I used in this video on the description box below, and also I will be including that on the blog post. I used this Tim Holtz Distress watercolor cardstock. They come in a pack of 20, and I loved using this cardstock. I was blown away at how well this actually works. I haven't ever used any kind of watercolor cardstock or paper, but this really works. It prevents peeling from your paper, and it just works beautifully. I also use these Nuvo Aquaflow water brushes. I have never owned any water brush, but I saw Maymay using a few, and I absolutely wanted to try it. I thought it was this brilliant idea, which I still think is a brilliant idea, and I liked this Nuvo one just because it came with two. One is a larger brush and larger tip, and the other is a smaller fine tip, so you can use it for multiple projects. Okay, I don't know if I can do this stamp set justice. This is a stamp set created by Maymay's mom, and I love the stamp set so much. I love the bold images. I love how large the images are, and I love how the sentiments are just beautifully written and just wonderfully, it just flows. So I think this is going to be one of my favorite Christmas sets ever. This is also a larger set, so you can heat emboss those images and it will be gorgeous. And you can heat emboss those sentiments and it will be beautiful and stunning. So let's go ahead and start the project. To begin, I used some washi tape to tape down my cardstock onto a heat-resistant mat and a non-stick mat that I have. Then I wanted to mention that if you did want nice straight edges on this card, on this project, you could use painter's tape. I wanted it to have a more worn, torn look, so I used the washi tape so the water and the paint can seep through into where the washi tape is, just a little bit, not too much, but painter's tape would prevent that. So I used my aqua brush to wet that whole cardstock, and then I went ahead with my oxide reinkers, and I just put a few drops here and there wherever I felt like I wanted to put a few drops, and it really doesn't matter because you're going to be mixing this up with the brush. Now, I did want to mention you really want to shake these reinkers vigorously because of the property and the way these inks are created, they do separate when they are sitting, and so you want to shake it really well to mix it all up or you won't get the best results. Once I had it all done onto my cardstock, I then took my Aquaflow brush again, and I just put some water down wherever I wanted to. I mainly did it on the drops at first, and then I realized it really didn't matter, so I just took my brush and just brushed my paper or all that ink evenly coating the whole cardstock. This is so fun to do. I had a blast. This is therapeutic, and I just loved how this paper, the cardstock, just really makes these inks bright and brilliant. The color is just true and beautiful and very rich. I really enjoyed working with this cardstock and this paint. The brush was just awesome because I didn't have to keep dipping my brush into a cup of water. I didn't even have to worry about that. I just squeeze it every time I needed a little extra water like I do right now. I did go ahead and put a few more drops of ink onto the middle part of my cardstock because I felt it was a little dull. And to remove the ink or the color from my brush, I simply just took it onto a scratch piece of paper and just I brushed it on, and it came off very, very easily. Once I did that, I just simply took my heat tool and just made sure I dried this whole cardstock, watercolor cardstock. And any extra I had, I just kind of dabbed it with the paper towel or any kind of cloth. And make sure when you are heating this up or drying it, you could just leave it out to air dry, but if you are doing a heating tool, just make sure you do it on the front side and the back side. So, and this prevents just any kind of warping of the paper. It just makes it less likely to happen. Once your cardstock is completely dry, I went ahead and used my embossing tool to rub that all over my cardstock, and to make sure it was dry and it would remove all the static, I just went ahead and put my embossing powder on that paper to just test it. I realized it still caught some of the static, or maybe it's had some oils from my fingers that just got on the paper, so I just made sure I went with my embossing tool once again, and I coated the whole cardstock with that. Then I took this particular stamp image. It's the image of an angel. I took that and I stamped it onto my cardstock with my Versamark ink, and then I went with this white embossing powder and I coated the whole image with it, and I made sure to cover it. I did it a few times, and sometimes you'll see that it kind of sticks to other parts of the paper, especially with this watercolor paper. It just happens. And to remedy that, all you do is just simply take a dry brush and you just brush it off, and once you brush it off, you just blow it and it comes completely off. Using that same stamp set, I also use my Versamark ink to stamp the sentiment Merry Christmas, and once again I took that white embossing powder and coated that Versamark ink with that white embossing powder. Once I had both of them completed and all the extra pieces of my embossing powder brushed off, I just went ahead with my Morphe heat tool and heated the whole thing until it was melted and became bright white. Now you can just put this panel onto a card base and would have a gorgeous card. I wanted to take it a few steps further, and I wanted to use my oxide inks, mostly because I love playing with this ink, and I wanted to make, like before in my previous video, I wanted to give the angel more of a halo, something that's made the angel be highlighted, so and give it a spotlight. So I just went ahead with my oxide ink in black soot, and what I did was I started off the page and then I went around, just coming in closer to the angel, so it was darker on the outer side and then lighter, and it transitioned into the blue perfectly. The nice thing about when you do heat emboss is that it creates a resist. So I was able to just wipe off any of the black soot that got onto my embossed portion, like on the angel and on the Merry Christmas. I really felt like this scene needed a moon. So what I did to create a moon was simply just add a blob of water. Yes, a blob. And I just put that onto my paper, and because this is an oxide ink, it removes some of that color, and then I wiped it off with a dry cloth, and then it created this perfect circle full moon. To create some stars, I did the same technique with my paintbrush, and removed some color just all over this background with my aqua brush. Then I went with my Nuvo gel pen and gave another dimension to this card by adding a few different brighter stars. I also inked the edge to finish this card give this card a more finished look. I also decided I wanted the moon to have more of a yellow hue, so it just makes it more like a night sky. So I went ahead and I used the fossilized amber to give the moon a brighter look, and I also used that same fossilized amber to go around that angel to give it more of a bright halo look. As I've mentioned before, the heat embossing creates a resist. So any ink that you do get onto the white portion of the heat embossed angel or sentiment, you can just simply wipe off with a dry cloth. I then also decided I wanted the angel to be a different color, a lighter color. So I just once again used that same technique to remove some color from the angel by taking my aqua brush and removing some color. Because I wanted the main focus of this card to be this particular panel and not have any other dimension, because I already used my colors to add dimension, all I did was I popped this panel up onto a card base, and that completes my card. I think it came out beautiful. I'm just beginning to play with watercolor, but I am so in love with it. I love how creative you can get with it, and this watercolor paper just makes it. It is so beautiful to work with. It's so easy and simple, and it just gives stunning results. I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial today. I had so much fun playing with my oxide inks, the watercolor paper, and this amazingly gorgeous stamp set. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and you guys all have a wonderful day. Until next time, bye.